René, it's great to see you. René is the CEO and founder of Bill. I'm going to cover a little bit about René's history in a moment, but welcome, René. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you so much, Erik. It's always good to see you and to see Barry, the dynamic duo in front of me. That's what I'm excited about today.
Well, thanks, René.
I won't say which one's Batman and which one's Robin. I'll let you guys figure that one out.
Right. Well, René, thank you very much. And Lisa Simpson, we have four presenters today. Lisa Simpson will be joining us shortly. What we're going to kick off with René is a discussion on financial automation in tools that are critical to the client advisory services practice. But just a little bit more about René. I mean, when I talk a lot, I say that technology is transforming the practice of finance and accounting. And René Lacerte is someone who has put a lot of tools in place to help firms transform finance and accounting. He originally founded PayCycle. PayCycle is one of the first cloud payroll platforms, and that is the backbone of Intuit's payroll platform today. He also founded Bill, and Bill.com, it was originally called Bill.com, is now leveraged by 8,000 firms. And one thing that René has done for his whole career, and he's started at an accountant, a Big Four firm, is building his tools in a way that enable firms to better support their clients. So Barry, you and I have both known René for 15 years. Maybe a couple of comments just on his impact before we get into the discussion.
Well, he has a long history of that in the support of the profession and has a business and entrepreneurial mindset that has supported that, which we appreciate, René. But I can remember the first conversations we had with René, that I had with René, was about being a long-term commitment to the profession, being a key component. That's something that we really believe in our relationships, and really we want to do things to help and enable the profession, not to hurt in any way or disintermediate the profession, is the old term that used to be floating around back then. And René, you've certainly lived that, so we're very much appreciative of that relationship. And 8,000 firms using Bill is a fantastic number.
I appreciate all of that, and I think the thing that comes to mind for me are my two grandmothers. They were both accountants, and all the businesses my parents had were financial automation back in the 60s using, back then mainframes and mini computers. And I just really believe in what accountants do for our country. And I just want to make sure that they're successful.
Well, thanks, René. And I know you put a lot of posts about that on your LinkedIn section. So Bill just released a State of Financial Automation report, which we're going to be discussing. But before we move to that, I think it's just important to kind of, baseline or foundational set for the town hall community a little bit about client advisory services, CAS. There's many names for his virtual CFO, BPO services. But this category has evolved over the past 15 years due to these capabilities: cloud bill payment, cloud accounting, cloud payroll. It's allowed firms to provide these services to their small business clients. We had Dan Hood on earlier this year, and Dan Hood, talked about how in his top 100 report, he has never seen a category more clearly called out than CAS related to the growth opportunity. So it's clearly a critical area of the practice now. And when you look at this slide here, it starts with this financial CAS, supporting the monthly close, financial metrics, AP, AR collections, expense management. And then as you move from financial CAS to what we're calling business insights CAS, it gets into that advisory category. And we're in baseball season, Barry, and we're not going to talk about the Yankees or anyone like that, but I like to say that we're still in the early innings of this movement, so there's still a lot more to be done. So maybe a comment from you, then we're going to really get into this report with René.
Well, if you look at this chart, if you look at that upper right-hand side where it says Trusted Advisor Business Insights, which you were just alluding to, and I know René is going to weigh in on this, but technology has continued to evolve over the decades, much more rapidly in the last few years than earlier decades. But that that notion of what we are as a profession is about those business insights, that trusted advisor role. And I would just put out there that businesses of all size, but particularly small businesses in today's world, where technology is going, the unsettled nature of the economy, all of those things, the role of the CPA, who can take all of that stuff that's happening on the left-hand side of this cast slide and really give the trusted advisor help to the entrepreneur, to help them, be successful and to deliver on their passions, is really the most important thing. And it will continue to be even more important as technology continues to speed up.
Well, René, why don't you comment? You've built some of the core elements here, the bill payment platforms, payroll platforms, but you're also thinking about, insights, cash flow management. And I know you talk to firms all the time about their cash practice.
Well, I think before jumping to the firm conversations, we have known each other 15 years. And in those early conversations about figuring out how to partner, it was we both, meaning Erik and Barry and myself, so I guess the three of us had a shared vision that the opportunity that technology was providing accountants was actually to create a much stronger relationship with their clients, where they could be a strategic advisor, the trusted advisor that you have on the right. And that is because of the types of insights that you're able to get. But to get there, we have to get rid of all the mundane tasks that happen every day. That's what was bogging down accountants. You think about this when we talk to early firms, they would have shoe boxes of receipts and invoices that were missing that they were trying to reconcile for the monthly close in the books. And we can solve all of that because all the bills go through our platform and enables the accountant to be far more strategic. And so I think the evolution, what I'm excited about is that we've stayed true to our mission and commitment to supporting accountants and to really helping move them into the right-hand side, which is to be that trusted advisor. And as we think about technology's movement, which is going to keep coming, that's what happens with technology. It just keeps coming at you. We're going to continue to create more and more automation. And so it's going to become more and more critical for firms to actually be that trusted advisor to really enhance that relationship. We've also seen, and we could talk about this for a long time, that the firms that actually adopt that trusted advisor, their ability to drive revenue and growth inside their firm grows dramatically. So I think there's just lots of opportunity here that comes from this movement from the mundane tasks being automated. That's what technology is good at, but really giving the tools then for the insights, which you asked about, Erik, that accounts can then provide. So we'll create more technology to make it easier for accounts to get those insights, but ultimately it's going to be the accountant and the firm that's going to be the strategic advisor to the clients, I believe.
And I would just add to it that one key component in a world of human capital challenges, that people entering the profession are going to have to move up that process quicker than ever before. And we talk about that in the context of competencies, but how do they get that business acumen competency to really be that valued relationship with the client, which will make the firm more successful as well.
Yeah, well said. And one thing that, René, we've really learned is that the small businesses want the accountants to run the machines, the technology platforms that do these mundane tasks for them because they can do it better. And they then want them to deliver the insights. So
absolutely. I mean, just one quick point there is I haven't met one SMB that ever says they want to do the finances. I was one, and that's why I started this company, because I like finances. But no accounting firm will ever meet a client that says they want to do the finances. They want to understand their finances, they don't want to do them, and that's the difference here.
Right. So, and we always provide the town hall community resources. So I'm showing here a 50-page plus state of financial automation surveying report that Bill just put out, and they did this with the small business SMB group, and that's what that acronym stands for, small and medium-sized businesses. And really, René, you're all about small businesses. I mean, this report was focused on businesses with like 10 employees, I think up to maybe a couple hundred. Yeah. So that's the sweet spot here. And Barry, you talk about digital transformation a lot, and this report to me really highlights how small businesses are thinking about digital transformation. And you look at this slide here, and they clearly get the importance of automating their financial operations, René.
I think it's something that as consumers' lives become more and more automated, they are going to expect that in the business life. Now, unfortunately, business life is a lot more complicated. There's a lot more transactions. There's a much stronger need for reconciliation. There's obviously a much stronger need for accounting, so you understand where you're spending. All of that is much different for businesses, and so technology has to do a lot more work. And that's where businesses are reaching out and saying, you know what, we kind of expect this ought to be automated, and we just need the right tools to be able to make that happen. It's not just recording the transaction after the fact. It's actually automating that entire process that leads up to the transaction. And that's exciting for me to see that 90% want to have it all automated.
Yeah, but equally, that last question there where 67% still of the entrepreneurs still say, well, maybe my company is too small to benefit. I think that's a huge data point for CPA firms, particularly smaller CPA firms, because that educational component back to the entrepreneur, that relationship that exists, really gives them the opportunity to reset that discussion and create different kind of value with their clients.
Yeah, because Barry, one thing, the cloud has kind of leveled the playing field for businesses of all sizes. I mean, you can be a very small business, put all your data in the cloud, work with an accountant, and get the advantages of a large business. So this next slide here kind of, goes into something that is just critical to the success of a small business, and that's cash flow, and they really look to their accountants to kind of help them, with that type of planning. So lots of different elements, René, that your report kind of highlighted related to cash flow management.
Yeah, and I think all of it just boils down to there's a lot of process that happens in a business. It's not just about recording a transaction in the GL and then creating a report out of it. There's a lot of stuff that happens, whether it's sending or receiving, reconciliation, and all of these connection points with your suppliers, with your customers. That's what we're all about automating and really trying to solve that pain point. And I think that's what businesses need, because that's what's holding them back. And to your point, Barry, on the last slide, when I started Bill, there were a lot of accounting firms that I talked to be like, I'm too small. And because of the relationships I had, I would ask them to check it out. And then 90 days later, they'd be like, I had no idea my life was so complicated before, because we simplified it. And I think that's the thing that we have to do as a profession, if you will, is to help educate people that you're not too small to have automation and efficiency. Every business needs it, especially in these times.
And it's actually, René, when we first started working on, automating bill payment, it was more about, moving from paper checks to electronic payments. But digital transformation, you could call it 2.0, 3.0. There's so many more advanced elements to it. And that's what I would encourage the firms to think about. Or if we have CFOs and finance leaders here on the town hall, but thinking about the more sophisticated ways to automate your platforms. I mean, it's workflow related. It's in many different payment option capabilities. Not just you're not just going to think about ACHs. We're going to in a moment talk about virtual card payments, René. So I think, how have you seen this evolve over the past 20 years?
Yeah, I think if you just think about the basic essence of what we talk about at Bill are the bill payments that are coming and going. But if you think about money, it's a very, very critical factor in any business, but people can be very emotional about it. And it's because of all the complexity around the things that happen around money. So I would say for payments to be effective and valuable, there's kind of 4 cornerstones. They have to be easy to make. They have to have simple reconciliation. They have to move quickly, and you need good funds. And so if you were just to think about, go back 20 years ago or 10 years ago when everybody was using checks for businesses, you would say, well, checks were good for reconciliation because you got it back and you had a chance to be able to see that it was endorsed and you could file that away. They weren't so great on speed. And, it was kind of iffy on good funds. They were pretty easy. Everybody thought they knew how to do a check. And then that wasn't true for ACH, right? There was no easy way for the ACH to happen. The reconciliation was okay, but actually sometimes it was cryptic because you just had a dollar amount. Was it good on speed? Absolutely. And so what's happened is we've taken all of those complexities around that and really tried to help businesses and accountants be able to have all of that in one place. And so that's really the simplicity that's necessary around the workflow that you're talking about. It's all those things that's what matters with the payment. The payment is the last inch of the mile. It's everything that goes up to that payment that needs to be automated. And that's what technology is enabling right now, is for firms to be able to take advantage of platforms that actually automate all those processes behind the transaction.
You know, it's interesting. We're talking about this rightfully in the case of small firms, and you mentioned CFOs and others that are on this town hall as well. We do a lot of work, obviously, on the corporate side, where we have almost 50% of our members that are in that area. And the transformation aspect, all in very much the same way that René just talked about it for small business, has also and is happening in the large business environment. And what they're saying, this transformation that's occurring in the large business environment today is, and we want to free up our people, our talented, smart people, to be able to give us more value and to partner with different parts of the business. And these are the internal functions. And that comes across in every size spectrum of the business. And what René just described from a process point frees that up on the corporate side. So whether you're looking at it in a client environment or the corporate side, the mission is still the same.
Absolutely.
Well, let's move to, it's always evolving. So, you know, there's always new capabilities coming out, and what that offers is new things that the firms can provide to their clients and more value to their clients. And I'm very excited about what, you know, these smart cards, these new, you know, modern business cards represent for, you know, and deliver for both the small business as well as the accounting firms. So René, I'll let you kind of describe this a little bit, the spend and expense management category, which you know, Bill, you're enabling you're providing one of these smart cards, your Divvy payment platform process.
Yeah, no, what's fun about being in technology is that it changes all the time. There's more and more capabilities. I probably left off one element of the cornerstones of a payment, and one of them is control. I think all of us know, and actually one of the reasons I used to like writing checks is because only when I signed it would a payment actually happen. Like there was a control mechanism there. And so when you think about virtual cards, that's the thing that it brings to the card platforms. It gives you control that you didn't have before. So if you just think about how you use plastic today, whether as a consumer, or as a business, or the firm, you use it for convenience. You're out someplace, you don't want to have to write a check. That's great. Well, there's less control. You can't say to any one employee, you know what, I'm going to give, you know, Barry this card for this, and I'm going to give Erik this card for this, and I'm going to give René this card for that. And any of those employees that you're using, they need to be able to change their spend on the fly. It could be that, you know, you're at a digital CPA conference and you're having, you know, a really important get together with some new partners, and you decide to take somebody out to dinner and you want to increase the card that they have, right? So what I'm trying to say with the virtual card is that you think about the card and the flexibility that you can use it anywhere. And now you layer in the technology where you have the ability to control that card at any point in time. You can stop it midstream. You can change the value, the amount that somebody can use on that card. And that's what enables this to be a very powerful tool for businesses and firms. So an example of how this could happen every day is if you think about the recurring bills a business might have. Let's say it's their internet, let's say it's their cell phone, let's say it's their utilities. They're probably always within a certain size, right? And what you can do with a virtual card is you can actually have those payments automatically made up to a certain limit, and you've never given out your bank account. You don't have to worry about anybody stealing your card, and those payments happen on time every time. And if it goes over the amount, it won't go processed. So you'll have a chance to actually review that transaction. So there's just lots of opportunities to create more experiences for businesses and for firms to actually create less effort to be able to transact. And so, you know, it is what you think of. It's a virtual card, which is a credit card. It's cheaper than an ACH. It's cheaper than checks. It's actually free for the business. There's an opportunity to get cash back on rewards from most card programs. Reconciliation is automatic, and it's faster. It can be a same-day payment. And so all of that matters when you're in business. You want all those things to happen. And I think virtual cards are going to be an important part of how all of us manage and control our spend going forward.
Yeah, Renee, I'm hearing this is a nascent, early stage category, but a lot of firms have put this in place. They actually say this is something that their clients value even more than just the automating of bill payments. These virtual cards, the control factors that they can put in place, the elimination of expense reporting. It is a mind shift, Barry, when you think about spend. Everyone's always done expense reports, but that's after the fact. To do this in a proactive spend management up front, and then having an outsourced firm just kind of quickly review everything to make sure it's in line with policy. Or when I talk to CFOs, they got a couple 100-person business. Their teams aren't wasting time filling out expense reports anymore. The controller's taking a look to make sure everything's in line with their spend guidelines, and you've got all the data.
Yeah, and I think it's important to not just think about controls as it relates to, expense reports. That would be right. Sort of the travel and entertainment type of expenses. You can look at a company, even a small company, where people have different functions, and you can authorize these virtual cards so that person A's spend can only be in a certain area, and person B can be in some other area because of all of the codification process that's is there. So from a control perspective, you actually move it up front. And I think René said this, you actually move it up front rather than after the fact when you catch something that might be wrong. Again, that ends up saving the client if you're in a public accounting firm, your company if you're on the finance side.
Yeah, and all of that is what's exciting to me is also the advancement of technology and how AI is going to help all of this. It's going to continue, like the policy example you gave, Eric. We are, incorporating policy detection and automatic, flagging that for our customers today. That's pretty cool, right? And that's the opportunity that we'll continue to learn and help the firms identify and be more strategic with their engagement and their clients.
Yeah, just lots of opportunity. So we're gonna step out in a moment and ask René some broader questions about what he's seeing with small businesses. But this is just kind of a summary slide of what we've been talking about. You get some primary research on what's happening with small businesses related to their financial automation. So digital transformation is underway. Big businesses always talk about it, but digital transformation is an absolute topic for the firms to be having with their clients. Management optimization of cash flow, lots of opportunities there. Lots of opportunities on payment flexibility. It's like there's so many different payment options, and having a unified payment platform available for your clients, I think, is a differentiator for the firms. And then we're putting together resources, and it's really a lot of the practice strategies that deliver success when you're leveraging these different types of platforms.
And I like to think about it in the very practical sense, and this is going to be a public accounting statement, but the reality is we got 44,000 firms. The vast majority of them are small. The vast majority of them are working with small businesses. Those small businesses, to the extent they have a finance staff, so let's say they have a controller or even a CFO or whatever, they're really generally limited, and they're sort of on an island. They're not getting exposure to a lot of these other types of things. And this is the huge, I think, opportunity in this sort of transformation world for the firm to really be that voice to that entrepreneur and put the transformation of the finance function pretty high on the priority list because of the control and the savings that can be obtained for the client. The entrepreneur is focused on making the widgets or selling the widgets, or if it's a service, delivering the widgets, generally not focused on the finance function. That's not what they're waking up to do. And yet we have, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of businesses where that finance function, the person doing it, really isn't exposed to the types of things that are happening in the marketplace that can actually affect the profitability of the entrepreneur. The firms can deliver that message.
Yeah, I think, these four trends are just, they're vital, I think, to understand. And ultimately, the word that comes to mind is it's really a transformation of accounting. And this is what I think, Barry, you and I talked about the first time that we met, was kind of the vision that you had. Eric, I know it's what we've talked about pretty much every time we get together. The accounting is going to transform because of technology. That's true for every profession, but the opportunity to actually really level up your services and provide a strategic insight, it's going to get easier and easier to do that. And you'll be able to be differentiated more because of these trends. Businesses are going to adopt that trend I talked about on the consumer side, where you have consumer trends. People expect that in the business world. That's going to continue to happen. There's going to be more evolution. There's going to be more technology applied, whether we talk about AI or not. That's all going to be part of this. And that's going to lead to people wanting to be more strategic, and that's the management of cash flow. Like, we see that more and more from our customers, that's the thing they want the most right now. So these are all trends. They're super important and super exciting when I think about what it means for accountants across the board.
Well, René, just a great discussion. This is a town hall. We got a lot of topics that we need to cover. We could go on with you for the full hour, but we're going to move to a couple of other segments now. But it just thank you for what you're doing, for your 7,000, 8,000 firms plus, and just how you think every day about, putting more tools in place for the firms and for, business and industry to make them more successful.
Well, happy to join you guys anytime. It's always a great conversation.
Thank you for being committed to this profession also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.